discuss this most instructive pastime for us. We'll try to repeat what has been spoken by the previous acharyas and given to us by Srila Prabhupada in one of his greatest gifts to all of us, which is a translation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we'll be studying and reading about the pastimes of Lord Nithya that are described very beautifully in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is such an important pastime for us. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam we see explanations of many incarnations and avatars of the Supreme Lord. With this specific appearance of Lord Nithya, Shukadeva Goswami dedicates virtually the entire 7th canto to this pastime. 9 chapters. Up until the 10th chapter, he spends most time discussing this appearance. So we can ask, there must be some value in it. He had only 7 days to give the essence of all Vedic literatures to Maharaj Parikshit. So for him to spend so much time discussing this pastime, it can give us some insight into the extreme importance of this pastime. And as we know, all of Lord Krishna's pastimes are very interesting stories, filled with intrigue, drama, suspense, interesting characters. But all of that is a backdrop to teach us practical lessons, to have practical takeaways of what we can learn from these pastimes. So that is why we study these pastimes. Not merely for some entertainment, but to understand what is it that I'm supposed to learn from these various pastimes. So today, we don't have time to discuss all of them. It would take months. So I thought we could pick a few things. First, to discuss how to become fearless. Fearless with the strength of faith in the Supreme Lord. So that is the first lesson we'll discuss today. The second is we're going to understand the power and potency of Shravana, or the hearing process, and see how that can transform our life. And then the third is we'll discuss the magnanimity, the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Sometimes when we think of Nrsimhadev, we think of a very ferocious, maybe scary. We don't think loving, merciful, soft, and gentle. But as we see, this pastime is actually one of the Lord's most sweetest, loving pastimes. So we'll discuss how. Maybe that's a little counterintuitive. So, let us begin. Do we have any first-time visitors here today? Kind of?
I've been here before, but I'm here.
Okay. Well, you picked a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. Any first-time hearers of Lord Nrsimhadev's pastimes? Okay. So maybe some. So we're going to have a drama, obviously, that will depict the whole narration. So I will pick some pieces of the story and try to discuss and maybe pick a few of the teachings. So this story begins with Maharaj Parikshit in the beginning of the 7th canto. He's asking a question to Shukadeva Goswami. He has just heard that Lord Krishna has assisted the Devatas in their fights against the demons, and he conquered them. So Shukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj is curious. He's saying, but you have said that the Lord is impartial. How is this impartial? He is taking the side of the Devatas. Please explain this confusing point to me. So in that, he begins to explain that the Lord is impartial. He loves all equally. And he explains how the modes of material nature influence at different times, and when mode of goodness is strong, then the devatas are favored, and when the modes of passion are strong, the demons are favored, and when the modes of ignorance are favored or strong, the rakshasas and yanchasas. In this way, he is truly impartial, because he is controlling the modes of material nature. They are his inferior energies. So, and that takes us to the story of Shishupal. And he says, let me narrate one pastime of Shishupal to show the Lord's impartiality. And he is narrating a conversation that is taking place between Maharaj Yudhishthir and Narada Muni. And Maharaj Yudhishthir at the Rajasuya sacrifice has witnessed one thing that is very perplexing to him. That how this Shishupal, who was chastising Krishna before he could even speak properly, before he could utter even full sentences, he had figured out how to ridicule Krishna, create so many offenses. How could this personality have achieved this most wonderful Sayuja Mukti of entering the Lord's body when he was decapitated in his Rajasuya sacrifice? Maharaj Yudhishthira is confused. How can one get this? And so Narada Muni is explaining to him, this is the potency of Vishnu Shmarana. Though his Vishnu Shmarana was in an inimical mood, he was remembering the Lord. He was constantly thinking about the Lord, but in an inimical way. How this rascal and this and that, so much nonsense. And we see so many of the demons have this characteristic. Sometimes the devotees wish we could have at least half of their Vishnu Shmarana, but in a positive manner. They are meditating. Every 8 step Kamsa took, he's thinking, Chao, Krishna. He's meditating always. But we see the potency that when one even meditates in a negative way, one gets purification. So we can imagine how much potency there is when we try to remember the Lord in a loving way. How much benefit one will get. So in this way, Narada Muni is explaining this pastime of Shishupal and trying to dispel Maharaj Yudhishthira's doubts. And then he brings to the topic of Shishupal's appearance. And those of you who studied the Srimad Bhagavatam, you know in the 3rd canto, it traces back to an encounter between Jaya and Vijay and the 4 Kumaras. And this is a pastime in which the 4 Kumaras, who are the sons of Brahma, were following the scent of tulsi leaves emanating from the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And they had made their way to Vaikuntha. And in Vaikuntha, they had passed through the 6 gates. There are some security gates. Just like any special place, we have some different levels of security. So in Vaikuntha, there is such security. And when they were getting to the 7th gate, they were stopped by Jaya and Vijay. And the 4 Kumaras were not so pleased with such an occurrence. They're saying, how can you stop us? Don't you know we're here to see the Supreme Lord? And anybody who's made it to Vaikuntha certainly has the qualification to see the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord is so loving, he wants to see each and every one of his guests. So there should be no concern. See, Vaikuntha is not a place we can achieve by some material means. It's not we can build some great spaceship and reach Vaikuntha. No, it takes spiritual qualifications, not material prowess. So clearly the Kumaras, by having entered the realm of Vaikuntha, had achieved the spiritual qualification. So they felt they were unjustly held back from seeing their beloved Lord. And so the Lord, hearing these omniscient, he knows everything that's taking place, he appears on the scene. And we don't have time to go through the whole dialogue, but to cut to the chase, there was a curse put on Jaya and Vijay. And they had a choice. That because they were not exemplifying the qualities of those of Vaikuntha, they were asked to come to the material realm. And Lord Krishna asked, okay, if you're going to curse them, then be gentle. Bring them back quickly, because I'll miss them. So he said, okay. The Kumar said, you have a choice, Jaya and Vijay. You can either come 3 times as a demon, as an enemy of Krishna, or you can come 7 times as a devotee. So Jaya and Vijay did the easy math. 3 times means less time away from our dear Lord. Done. So they chose to come as Krishna's students. And we're going to discuss at the end a little bit of the inner meaning and inner desires that even Jaya and Vijay had. But this takes us then to the story of Hiranyakashipu. So Jaya and Vijay in their first appearance take the form of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And so Hiranyakashipu has just witnessed the death of his brother, Hiranyakashipu, who was killed by Lord Brahma in the form of a boar. And this made Hiranyakashipu very angry. And from that moment, he became the sworn enemy of Lord Vishnu. He vowed, I will slice the head of Lord Vishnu and drink and bathe in his blood. See the foolish mentality of the demons. They think the Lord has a material body. When we cut the head of the Lord, one cannot cut to begin with, but he does not have material machinery like us. Blood, veins, hearts pumping, intestines, all that. He is fully spiritual, and he is inconquerable. He is infallible. But the demonic mentality, and so he became very, very angry. But like a good politician, Hiranyakashipu, inner feelings were anger, externally speaking something else. To do what? To pacify his dear mother, the wife of Hiranyaksh, and the children. And so Hiranyakashipu began to preach very eloquent, beautiful, pure scriptural knowledge. Entire second chapter of Bhagavad Gita he gave. Speaking, we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Why are you lamenting over the death of oneness? We have come together for this short time. Just like those traveling come together in a restaurant, they take their meal and then they separate after some time. Similarly, these relationships we have with our family are just of temporary nature. What is there to lament? The spirit soul residing within Hiranyakashipu is untouched by these material weapons. It cannot be burned and wet and all this wonderful philosophy Hiranyakashipu was given. He understood everything in the Bhagavad Gita except for the ultimate instruction. He even had manmana because he was so remembering the Lord. But he forgot, he did not understand to become his devotee, to surrender, sarvadharma parityajya. He did not understand that. But he had good philosophical knowledge, but tainted with this demoniac mentality. So, Hiranyakashipu, to avenge the death of his brother, began a reign of terror, a severe reign of terror. He decided he was going to disarm the devatas. How was he going to do that? He sent his cronies to the earthly planets to destroy all the brahmanas. He killed all of them. He slaughtered all the cows. Why cows and brahmanas? If he slaughtered the cows, there would be no more ghee. And if there's no more brahmanas, there would be nobody to do the yajnas, to offer to the devatas. And what were the devatas going to subsist on? He was cutting off their lifeline. He cut all the trees so there would be no fruits to offer. Burned the land. Such severe terror. This is the evil mentality of Hiranyakashipu. Then he decided, now I must achieve some special powers. And because he understood the scriptures, he understood that Lord Brahma acquired this creative potency, this potency to create the entire universe. That is not his own creation of potency. It has been manifested upon him by the Supreme Lord. After what? Intense austerity. So Hiranyakashipu says, I will follow in the footsteps of Lord Brahma, and I will perform intense austerity to assume the position of Lord Brahma. I want to be the ruler of the universe. He did not understand who was the supreme ruler. He thought Lord Brahma himself also was immortal, not knowing that at the end of this universe, Lord Brahma also dies, loses his body, separates from soul and body. So he performs intense austerity. What kind of austerity does he do? He goes to the Mandara mountain, and there, this is a very qualified personality. Already I said he has some gyan, some knowledge, soul, matter. And now here his austerity, his potency. He is standing on his toes, hands in the air. How long can we hold our hands in the air? 10 minutes? 1 hour? 10 hours? He stood on his toes, hands in the air, for 100 celestial years. 6 months is equal to 12 hours of our earthly years. Thousands and thousands of years he stood, so long that an anthill began to form on his body. And ants were eating, white ants, eating his skin, his flesh, but it did not phase. We get a little bit of headache and all our austerity goes away. We try to do some Nirjala Ekadashi is coming, and every little body difficulty ruins our mood. But see the intensity propelled by his desire to accumulate power that he was taking to this austerity. So intense was this austerity that fire began to emanate from his head, his body. Such intensity that it was burning the entire universe, all the planetary systems. The heat was unsettling to even the heavenly planets. The devatas were confused. They were becoming suffocated by this heat. They petitioned Lord Brahma, please go and do something. Stop this intense meditation before he engulfs the entire universe in fire and everything is destroyed. Brahma, you're the creator. So, Lord Brahma comes and he begins to search for Hiranyakashipu because he could not find him. He was covered in his anthill. But then after some careful searching, they found him. His body was completely gone, just bones. His life air was being maintained within the bones. This is the intensity of this austerity. And Lord Brahma takes some water from his Kamandula pot and sprinkles, and immediately he assumes a very powerful body, very beautiful body. And Hiranyakashipu offers very nice prayers. Hiranyakashipu is smart. He knows meditation, intensity, and prayer with some glorification will result in what? Meditation. Yes, tit for tat. That is the mentality of demoniac, the demons. So he offers nice prayers, being pleased. Lord Brahma asks, now what can I offer you? Now, Hiranyakashipu wanted something very difficult. He wanted immortality. Thinking Brahma was someone immortal, he thought but Brahma says, I cannot give you that which I don't have. So Hiranyakashipu, thinking himself to be very smart, said, okay, let me get immortality indirectly. I'll come up with some creative benedictions that will give me immortality. And this foolish Brahma, he won't even know he's giving me what I initially asked. And so he asked that I not be killed in the day or night, in the air, on the ground, or in water, by any animal or by any human, by any weapons, and so many conditions he put. And then he said, also, by not any creation of yours. Thinking that was the catch-all. In case he missed any scenarios, this was the catch-all. And in this way, he thought, yes, I was smarter than even Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma said, no problem, and he granted all these boons. So what did he do with this great power? Did he save the world? Did he do great things for humanity? No. He inflicted a reign of terror on the entire universe. Again, the mentality of the demons. Power comes corruption. We see in today's society this. Hiranyakashipu was the original. He was such a corrupt Lord. He ruled by fear. Everybody was serving him, not out of love, but out of fear. All the devatas were under his control. Lord Nithya would provision rain only at night, because that's the way Hiranyakashipu wanted it. Not only at night, only on the fields, because Hiranyakashipu did not want rain in the cities. The rivers and oceans, they would produce jewels and deliver them to the doorsteps of his palace. To not trouble Hiranyakashipu to have to go to the oceans to bring out the jewels. So fearful. Crops would grow without plowing the fields out of fear of repercussion from Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu had usurped, took over Indra's palace that was built by Vishwakarma. This was the reign of terror. Hiranyakashipu was running. Everybody was feared. He would raise his eyebrows and people would tremble. What's next? So the Devatas finally go to Lord Vishnu and say, help us. Help us. This is a small instruction for us. Where is our real help? And we'll come to that in a few seconds. Asking for help, he says, no worries. I'm coming in short time. And so this brings us to the appearance of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was one of 4 sons of Hiranyakashipu. And he is one of the 12 Mahajans, the great spiritual authorities who can lead us in the path of devotional service. We need leaders in everything we do. And Prahlad Maharaj, being the disciple of Narada Muni, is a very important personality in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. As we know, Narada Muni is one of the original proponents of this Sampradaya. And so the instructions of Prahlad Maharaj are very important for us, and we'll discuss now. Prahlad Maharaj was born a pure devotee of the Lord. At a very early age, he was fully immersed in Krishna prema. He was exhibiting these symptoms of pure love. Eyes would overflow with tears. He'd be crying in ecstasy. Everybody would be wondering, what is this boy doing? They could not see what he could see. He was seeing Krishna in front of him. In everything, he saw Krishna. He would have such intense, ecstatic symptoms. They thought he was a mad child. While all the other boys were playing different games, he was only interested in this Vishnu Smarana, remembering and meditating on his beloved Supreme Lord. This was at a very young, ripe age, 3, 4, 5 years old. This remembering Krishna, Vishnu Smarana, this is the essence of all Vedic principles. We see this verse, Shvartavyastatam Vishnu, Vishvartavyo Najataja, Sarve Vede Vishuddhashur, Etayone Vikinkara. That is remembering in Krishna and never forgetting him. This is the essence of all Vedic principles. Everything that's given in the scripture should be the servants to these 2 principles. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. Simple. And this was what Prahlad Maharaj was living to perfection. That's why he exemplifies this 3rd process of devotional service, Vishnu Smarana. So, one day, his father, Hiranyakashipu, asks him, brings him on his lap and says, my dear Prahlad, what is it that you like? Thinking he might hear, oh, I like some special sweet my mother makes. I like this special game I play with my friends, or some toy you have bought me. Or you, my father, I like you. Thinking he gets some simple answer. He asks a simple question. He asks a 5-year-old boy what he likes. He gets lots of interesting responses. What did Prahlad Maharaj respond? The materialists who are consumed in material life are suffering and anxiety, have been fallen into the deep, dark well of material suffering. But those who are wise go to the forest of Vrindavan, where Krishna reigns supreme in the minds of all, and surrender to his lotus feet. This is a 5-year-old boy. Hiranyakashipu was expecting chocolate or some silly answer. He's getting, the materialists are doomed in the well of suffering. Hiranyakashipu laughs it off. What is this nonsense? He thinks, okay, whatever, he's been corrupted by the words of the enemy. So he calls Sandanamarka. He says, take him to this Institute of Higher Demoniac Learning, this Hiranyakashipu Institute, and teach him. Sandanamarka, the sons of Shukracharya, teach him all of these important things of knowledge, politics, gamesmanship, military arts, diplomacy, all these things that are really valuable. Cleanse his mind of this nonsense that he is talking. Please. Sangha and Martha take him away, and they ask him, Prabhupada, they're confused. Where did you pick up these words of the enemy? Where did you pick? And so I wanted to read. What is Prahlad Maharaj's response to the words of the enemy? Prahlad Maharaj replied, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, whose external energy has created the distinctions of my friend and my enemy, by diluting the intelligence of men. Indeed, I am now actually experiencing this. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with the living entity by his devotional service, one becomes a Bandi and does not make distinction between enemy, friends, and himself. Intelligently he thinks every one of us is an eternal servant of the Lord. See such high philosophy. He is speaking, 5-year-old boy, fully self-realized. We're going to discuss how. Persons who think in terms of enemy and friend are unable to ascertain the Supreme Soul. It goes on. Such amazing. So, Sangha and Martha become more committed. Let me rectify this nonsense that has polluted his mind. Let me cleanse this Prahlad of this gobbledygook he's speaking. And they begin to try to preach to him about this demoniac philosophy. This materialistic way of life. Satisfy the senses and all will be fine. So after some time, convinced that they had converted Prahlad Maharaj to the path of righteousness, they take him now to Hiranyakashipu, show how good teachers we are. So his mother Kaya, who dresses him up nicely, brings him to Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj offers obeisances. And then Hiranyakashipu brings him on his lap. Tears are coming from the eyes of Hiranyakashipu in paternal affection. What a sweet, lovely boy I now have. Such respect. Yes. Oh, my dear boy, what have you learned now in your schooling, in this Institute of Higher Learning, this demoniac learning? And what does he say? Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Shvaranam Padasevanam Arjanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. He says there are 9 processes of devotional service that must be practiced. And those who are truly intelligent commit their lives to these 9 processes of hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping the lotus feet, offering prayers, deity worship, becoming a servant, becoming a friend, and Atma-nivedana, surrendering to the Lord. And he goes on to instruct much more philosophy. And now Hiranyakashipu is completely perplexed. Sangha Martha, what have you done? You rascals! How have you taught him this? Sangha Martha say, hey, don't chastise us. We're Brahmins. We have not done anything wrong. We have made sure you have put tight security. Nobody has come to corrupt the mind. I don't know where he has learned this. He must have learned it from his beginning, somehow. So, okay. And he asked Prahlad, where did you learn this? And he responds with a few more verses I would like to read. This is all in the 7th canto. Prahlad Maharaj replies to the question, where, you rascal, have you gotten this information? The question from Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj says, because of their uncontrolled senses, people too addicted to material life make progress towards hellish conditions, repeatedly chewing that which has been chewed. Their inclinations towards Krishna are never aroused by their own efforts or by a combination of both. Persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, you, Hiranyakashipu, he's thinking, have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects. They cannot understand the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead. As such, blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch. This is the saying, the blind leading the blind. That saying comes from Srimad Bhagavatam. All the knowledge we need comes from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the blind leading the blind into a ditch of suffering. This was the response to Hiranyakashipu's question. He further goes on to say that, my father, one should smear the dust from the feet of a Vaishnava to have any chance to succeed in life. This materialistic path that you're on is going to lead you to the hell. Imagine now, Hiranyakashipu hearing, this boy is telling me to take the feet from the dust from the feet of the devotee of my enemy, and I should put that on my head. How enraged Hiranyakashipu became. He became completely overcome with his anger. This small boy trying to tell him about his enemy. And how does Hiranyakashipu respond? Throws him from his lap. Says, get away, my rascal son. You are a disgrace to the Rakshasa race. Sometimes, when the body becomes sick, if the arm has become infected, one must amputate the arm to salvage the body. As such, sometimes one must even rid themselves of a family member to save the dynasty. This is the demoniac mentality. A 5-year-old boy he is not able to tolerate. And so he decides to kill Prahlad Maharaj. 5-year-old boy, pretty easy. Quick work. He calls his demons who are always anxious to get into some demoniac activity. But they're thinking, nah, this will be too easy. We want some challenge. So they begin to kill these guys. Big bodies, curly hair, coppery eyes, sharp teeth. They come to Prahlad Maharaj with tridents, with very sharp points. And they begin to poke the tender skin of a 5-year-old boy. And what is Prahlad doing? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He's fully absorbed in thought of his beloved Lord, unmoved by these very scary people. The tridents broke upon contact with the skin of Prahlad Maharaj, shattered into pieces. Failed in that attempt. Hiranyakashipu determined, comes up with so many different ways to try to kill Prahlad Maharaj. He calls the most poisonous serpents from Sutalok, I believe, forget where, to come. These serpents were so poisonous that they don't even bite. Just being around them, the venom would kill them. But these serpents were biting Prahlad Maharaj, and their fangs were shattering. They put him into fire. Nothing. Huge boulders, elephants trampling him. Nothing was happening. Poison, everything. And what was Prahlad Maharaj thinking? Oh, serpents are coming. The bed of my beloved Lord, Anantashesh. Oh, fire is coming. The mouth of my Lord, Vishnu. We know the mouth of Vishnu is fire. Yajna. Wow. Poison. When he takes poison, what does he do? Like everything. First offers to the Lord, and he's taking prasad. This is the consciousness of a devotee, 5-year-old. He is completely and utterly fearless. Right? What is the consciousness? How? can he take such peacefulness? What is his secret to his calm ways? It was his faith. His faith in the Supreme Lord. A child sitting on the lap of his mother has no fear. Why? Because the child has full faith in the protection of his mother. Prahlad Maharaj's faith in the Supreme Lord was untouchable. So untouchable that no matter what Hiranyakashipu threw at him, he was unable to touch the consciousness of Prahlad Maharaj. He was fully peaceful in the midst of such extreme calamity and cause for fear. He knew that the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Controller. That who the Lord wants to protect, nobody can harm. And that who the Lord wants to harm, nobody can protect. Faith in this statement, he said, what is there to fear? If the Lord wants me to be hurt, I will be hurt. And if he doesn't, I will not. And he was seeing the Lord everywhere. When he saw the tridents coming at him, he saw, oh, look at the Lord's material energy. So wonderfully formed in these sharp points. When he sees the snakes coming, living entities. He sees the demons. Oh, he sees part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like the Mahabhagavad. They are not able to discriminate. And so Prahlad Maharaj was fully peaceful, completely at ease, emboldened by his faith in the protection of the Supreme Lord. When he was in the fire, he was saying, oh, my Lord, it's cold. Please take me out of here. So much protection the Supreme Lord was giving. We in the material world, every step we take is an opportunity for fear. When will a car accident come? Heart attack, earthquake, tornado. Everything is an opportunity. One bump on an airplane, all of a sudden our heart jumps. We hear one noise in the middle of the night, fear comes. How can we become fearless? Like this 5-year-old boy. Krishna gives us the peace formula. In the end of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam sarva loka maheshwara surdam sarva bhoktanam yatmam shantim rirchati. One who knows these 3 things acquires relief from the pains of material misery. All these things that can give us fear, difficulty, anxiety, stress. We can instantly obtain relief if we understand 3 things. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam. Who is the ultimate cause, the ultimate supreme, the ultimate beneficiary of all the sacrifices that we do? The Supreme Lord Himself, Shri Krishna. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Who is the source of everything? Why is it important to know the source? Well, whoever is the source of everything is its owner, its proprietor. And whoever owns has control. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Controller. Prahlad Maharaj has faith in this statement, that if the Lord is controlling everything, not even a blade of grass can move without the sanction of the Lord, then what do I have to fear about anything in life? But wait a minute, why does Supreme Control give us comfort in the protection of the Lord? Because of the 3rd thing we should always remember. Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. That the Supreme Lord is our greatest well-wisher. Nobody can be a greater well-wisher to us than our Supreme Lord. Our mother and father are great well-wishers of us. But they are limited in their ability, in their potency, in their knowledge, in their lifespan to be our protector. But the Supreme Lord is unlimited in His knowledge, unlimited in His potency, and unlimited in His love for each and every one of us as His part and parcel. Because He is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-loving. He is our ultimate protector. And when we have faith in that, where else
do we need to seek refuge for the fears of the material world? An alarm system in our home, an airbag in our car? No, nothing is going to help us but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is what this 5-year-old boy, Prahlad Maharaj, understood to perfection. And thus, he was fully fearless. Our calamities are nothing like wild, fiery men with tridents, or serpents so dangerous they don't even have to bite, or gigantic boulders being thrust upon us, or being rampaged by wild, mad elephants, or being thrown from a mountain. Thankfully, we do not have to endure such calamity. But we can see what is the path to peacefulness. It is understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead's protection. In the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, Mother Sudhiti, think about her position. The 5-year-old boy, Dhruva Maharaj, comes and says, "Mother, what do I do?" She says, she was right. You must not go find Krishna in the forest. Think about it. Mother, 5-year-old boy, provides everything for that child. Food, clothing, shelter, everything. He knows nothing what to do. And she is comfortable sending him to the forest where ferocious animals are. He doesn't even know how to make a simple meal. Where will he sleep? All of this. But what is she comforted by? What does she say? That the love, even the most purest, pious, loving mother can give, is the tiniest of fraction of love that the Supreme Personality of Godhead will give to each and every one of his part and parcels. So whatever little I can give, Mother Cynthia is thinking, the Supreme Lord will give millions and trillions of times more. So yes, go to the forest, Dhruva Maharaj, and do what needs to be done. This is the faith that makes us fearless and will make us fearless in this material world. Okay, maybe we'll come back to this next point. So, one may ask, where did a 5-year-old boy learn such wonderful knowledge? How did he become so self-realized? 5 years old, was he attending some Krishna kids camp? Was there some youth preaching going on? How did he understand and learn all of this knowledge? This takes us to the power of hearing, Shravan. So, when Hiranyakashipu went to do his meditation, the devatas took advantage of this opportunity and they ransacked the kingdom. And all the demons fled, unprotected by Hiranyakashipu. And they saw Kayadu pregnant. And they thought, we cannot take another Hiranyakashipu. This bloodline is not good. And so they kidnapped her and were going to take her to the heavenly planets. And when that child was born, they were going to kill her. But on the way, they ran into who? Who always appears on the scene in time of need? Narada Muni. Narada Muni said, what are you doing? You're taking an unprotected woman by force. Have you lost your consciousness? They said, Narada Muni, do you not know who this is? This is Mrs. Hiranyakashipu. And in her womb is Hiranyakashipu Jr. We cannot take another one of this. This is too much. We'll protect her, but when the child is born, we're taking his life. He says, no. I will take care of this. Trust me. And he takes Kayadu to his ashram. And she begins to render service. And in return, he begins to preach pure Bhagavad philosophy, Bhagavad Dharma. She hears, but who else is hearing? Prahlad Maharaj. Hearing in the womb of his mother, with rapt attention, he's hearing pure philosophy. This is proving to us the potency of this bhakti process. That it is never too early to start. Even in the womb of a mother, it is not too early. But it can be too late. We think, oh, I'll take to this philosophy when I'm aged in my life. When I get a little bit settled, a little bit older. No. In the womb of the mother, is the time to start taking to this Krishna conscious philosophy. That is what Prahlad Maharaj is showing us. And he heard with rapt attention pure philosophy. Such potency is the power of Shravana. He was not doing intense austerity, meditation, nothing. Just hearing. But hearing from a qualified source. We must hear from a bona fide source. This is when hearing becomes potent. When the source is bona fide and the listener has faith. The combination of two creates perfection of Shravana. And he became fully self-realized. So we must be very careful where we hear from. And thankfully, Srila Prabhupada has given us an entire, enormous amount of literature that we can hear from. Directly Srila Prabhupada's voice into our ears by reading the purports of his books. And in this way, we can have perfect Shravana. But be careful where we hear from. Because bad hearing, just as potent as good hearing is, can lead us astray, as we'll see in another verse. So, coming back to the pastime of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu failed in all of his attempts to kill Prahlad Maharaj. And he became very frustrated. He said, Prahlad Maharaj is like a curved dog's tail. A dog's tail, if you try to straighten it, what happens? It curls right back. No matter how much they tried to shake Prahlad Maharaj from this consciousness, they were unable to change him. He became so despondent, lost all of his energy, was saddened. This is the powerful Hiranyakashipu who reigned terror through all the universe. He lost all of his energy from this 5-year-old boy. Sanda and Amarka say, what is going on? Relax. This is just a fad, a childhood fad. Give us a few more years and we will teach him nicely. And so they go back again, trying to teach him this philosophy. But what happened? Prahlad Maharaj began to preach. He began to share. When we have the gift of knowledge, we should share it with others. And Prahlad Maharaj began to preach to all the sons of these asuras, making all these boys devotees. Imagine now how Sanda and Amarka felt. We're in trouble. Wait till this gets back to Hiranyakashipu. That now he has corrupted the minds of all of these other young boys. They bring him back to Hiranyakashipu. And this question comes. This last straw. He asked Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, where have you gotten your strength? I make everybody fearful of me. Lord Indra, Vayu, everybody is fearful of me, shaking and trembling. You 5-year-old boy have no fear. Where have you gotten your strength? And how does Prahlad Maharaj respond? Shall we hear some more philosophy? Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear king, the source of my strength which you are asking is also source of yours. Indeed, the original source of all strength is one. He is not only your strength or mine, but the strength of everyone. Without him, no one can get strength. Without moving or not moving, superior and inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now imagine Hiranyakashipu's mood. What, my strength? It is for my austerity, my tapasya. We think, oh, my strength, I go to the gym, I work out hard, I lift weights. That is where my strength is coming from. It is self-created, man-made garbage. What is man-made? We cannot even provide 1 minute's worth of oxygen for us to breathe. We cannot even provide 1 grain of food without the mercy of the Lord. We cannot provide anything for our sustenance without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. How can we claim that our strength, our intelligence, our assets, everything we have is man-made garbage. The Supreme Lord is, through His unlimited mercy, is giving us this wonderful facilities by which we can live our life. But how we live our life is what we have to decide. To live our life in the mood of Prahlad Maharaj or in the mood of this demoniac Hiranyakashipu. Because understand one thing, Hiranyakashipu was ruling the entire universe. But this lust goes unsatiated always. It is never satisfied. All of this, he was not able to enjoy because one 5-year-old boy was speaking some philosophy. This is the understanding. All our material desires we have, we think, one more car, one more house, one more zero in my bank account, one more child, one more promotion, and I'll be happy. Mankind, since the beginning of time, has been chasing happiness from material endeavors, and they have failed. But we think, no, I will be the one that finds it finally. So foolish is our mentality. No, our happiness comes when we engage in our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Then we'll find this bliss and happiness. Only then. Those before us have traveled this road which has failed. Why do we keep wanting to fall in the same ditch? Let's follow the road that Srila Prabhupada is taking us, to the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we'll be in bliss, listening to the flute that He is singing and playing for us. But Hiranyakashipu could not hear this philosophy. And so, the clinching comments that Prahlad Maharaj says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, this is Prahlad Maharaj speaking, one who is supremely controlled in time factor, the power of the senses, the power of the mind, the body, the vital sources. His influence is unlimited. He is the best of all living entities. Now Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Father, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Your mind equipodes towards everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy in this world. I'm fast forwarding a little bit. Now this really gets under his skin. In former times, there were many fools like you. 5-year-old boy speaking to powerful Hiranyakashipu. But strength and faith in this Supreme Lord. Fools like you who did not conquer the 6 enemies and steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were proud, thinking, I have conquered all enemies in all 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equipoised, for him there are no enemies. The 6 enemies are the 5 senses in the mind. Conquer these with the strength and the bliss of bhakti, and you will become conqueror, and not this foolish mentality. So Hiranyakashipu, in his rage of anger, could not take any more, and then we get to the climax of this pastime, which he begins to ask, where is your Lord? Prahlad Maharaj says, everywhere. Is he in this column? And Prahlad Maharaj looks. He says, yes. We may understand philosophically that yes, everything is the inferior material energies of our Prakriti. Yes, this is the inferior Lord. But Prahlad Maharaj did not understand it philosophically. He was seeing the Lord in the pillar. He was seeing the Lord in the trident. He was seeing the Lord in everybody's heart. Not just philosophically. This was Vigyan, realized knowledge. And so when Hiranyakashipu slashes the pillar with his sword, Nrsimhadev comes out. We're going to see this pastime, so I'm fast forwarding a little bit. This Nrsimhadev comes out and a battle ensues. It's interesting that a battle ensues. Now this takes us back to the initial discussion of Jai Vijay. Why a battle? After Hiranyakashipu Nrsimhadev kills Hiranyakashipu, all the other demons he kills by just flicking his fingernails. He could have sent one lightning bolt and killed Hiranyakashipu. He did not have to come. He could have sent one heart attack and boom, gone. This is the supreme controller creating billions and billions of universes. He did not have to appear. Why did he appear? Out of the magnanimity and love for his devotees. To make the word of Lord Brahma come true, he appeared in this ferocious form, in this multifaceted form. And he killed them in this very unique way, to make not one word of Lord Brahma untrue. To make the word of Lord Prahlad Maharaj true, he appeared very unceremoniously from a pillar. When a great person comes, shouldn't he come from the celestial airplanes, band leading him, big red carpet, pomp and circumstance? No, he was willing to appear from this quote-unquote inanimate pillar to uphold the word of his beloved Prahlad Maharaj. And then why did he fight? See, when Lord Nrsimhadev came, as in any appearance of the Lord, he is fulfilling multiple desires of his devotees. So there are many reasons why Lord Nrsimhadev came. It's explained. One of the reasons is Lakshmi Devi. She's massaging the feet of her dear Lord. She says, "My dear Lord, your skin is so soft, softer than the foaming milk. It's so soft. How is it that you're able to fight these ferocious demons?" He says, "Oh, you want to see? Okay, I will manifest a very ferocious form to fight." So, reason one, he manifests this form of Nrsimhadev. Reason two, we know because of the curse of Jaya Vijaya, they had to take birth 3 times as the demons. So they were born as Hiranyaksh, and Hiranyakashipu. But there's a third reason also given. There are many more, I'm sure. But a third reason. Once Jaya and Vijay are having a conversation, they're security guards. We know in security guards there's lots of downtime. Lots of times people sleep. You see, you go to the store, security guards, they're wondering what this is getting paid for. So in Jaya and Vijay had some downtime. And they're discussing, our Supreme Lord, he gets to enjoy all the pleasures, everything he gets to enjoy. But he is being deprived of one pleasure, this pleasure of fighting. It would be nice if our Lord could fight. Then they think, well, we are big, we're strong, we can wrestle with the Lord. But no, it's not in this mood of a difficult mood. It won't be real. He wrestles with the cowherd boys all the time. We want this really intense mood. Lord, knowing his desire, the desire of Jaya Vijay. Okay, the Lord thinking, my devotees want me to enjoy this way? Okay, I'll fulfill the desire. And he arranges this interaction between the Kumaras and Jaya Vijay. All of this is the Lord's magnanimity, the Lord's mercy. And so, the Lord is fighting because he's fighting with his devotee. He is fulfilling the desire of his devotee. So he engages in battle. He engages in fighting. And he even pretends to be slightly conquered, thinking, oh, this battle is at risk, creating some drama. When the devatas are worried, oh my God, is this Hiranyakashipu so strong? It is all lila, all pastime. Never forget who is the supreme controller. Not a blade of grass can sway in the wind without the will of the Lord. Do not be misguided to think that the Lord is at risk. This is all lila with his devotee Jaya in this case. It's also explained later in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada explained that Hiranyakashipu sitting on the throne, Nrsimhadev sitting on the throne of Hiranyakashipu is very significant. The great rishis and mystics, they prepare great seats with mantras and wonderful ceremonies for the Lord to sit, and he does not sit. Why is he sitting on the throne of the demon? Now you know, because he is not sitting on the throne of the demon. He is sitting on the throne built by his beloved Jaya, his devotee. And so he has pleasure sitting on the throne of his great devotee. So in this way, the appearance of Nrsimhadev is multifaceted. And so now I'll just quickly summarize, as I'm sure I'm running out of time and the drama is waiting. What are the lessons we can learn? 9 chapters full of lessons. Please acquire this Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Read this 7th canto. It is full of so much nectar, so much instruction. We are just scratching the tip of the tip of the tip of the surface of what is to be learned from this pastime. So much wonderful knowledge. So some lessons we learned. It is never too early to start the process of devotional service. In the womb of the mother is not too early. Certainly, if we're in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s, it's too late. Never too late, but we have missed some time. So we should take this process of bhakti as soon as possible. Not fooling ourselves thinking, oh, let me settle this in life. As I get older, then I'll become serious. When our body is decrepit, unable to sit, everything is blurry, we cannot sing, then we're going to read 7th canto? Read now, today, not tomorrow, today. Then we can have this fearlessness that Prabhu Maharaj had. That is the second lesson. The path to fearlessness is faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead's protection. Nobody else can protect us like the Supreme Lord. Remember this verse in the 5th chapter. Bhuktanam Nirmapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Suradam Sarva Bhutanam. Who is the greatest publisher? That who knows this, Yata Mam Shakti Vidyati, achieves freedom from the pains of material miseries. When we know that the Supreme Lord is the greatest publisher and He is the most capable to save us. We can learn and understand how magnanimous the Supreme Lord is, always fulfilling our desires. Whatever desires we have in our heart, the Lord will fulfill. If we have desire to become close to the Supreme Lord, to become free from these difficulties, and experience the bliss of devotional service, He will fulfill. But if we also have desire to remain far and distant from the Lord, He will also fulfill. So we must be very careful. What is our true desires in our heart? Because the Lord is so loving. He is, again, impartial. This whole story started proving the Lord's impartiality. It starts there with Parikshit Maharaj's question. How is He impartial if He is fighting on the side of the Nithyakas? No, we know the Lord is impartial. He is impartial to our desires. So be careful which desires we plant in our heart. Very, very important. And finally, we can understand that Lord Nrsimhadev is the ultimate protector of our bhakti. We pray to Lord Nrsimhadev not for our material bodily protection, but for the protection of our devotional service. Devotional service is a very blissful, potent, powerful experience. But at any moment, if we veer off for a slight moment, we have the potential to fall into that ditch of ignorance. So, to stay on the path of devotional service, to stay in following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev, let me not be fooled, or let me not hear from anyone else, just hear this pure philosophy that's coming in our Vaidya Vaishnava Sampradaya, that Srila Prabhupada has given to all of us. Let me only meditate on that. And so we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for this protection in our journey of spiritual growth. Thank you very much. Please forgive me if I misspoke anything. Maybe I have time for one question or comment. Any questions or clarifications, corrections? All the senior Vaishnavas assembled here, please correct anything I misspoke.